Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. And they're up to it again. The NHS can't help themselves, can they? They've previously tried to cancel women, and they're trying again. And this time, it's maternity units and midwives that are being informed that they're not to use gender-specific terms. They don't like the word mother or mum or breast or other more expressive terms for various parts of the body. When will this madness finish? When will they realise that if you're in a maternity ward about to or having just given birth, how you identify is immaterial? You're a woman. Anyway, we will have a look at this madness. I will put myself down into the corner and we will discuss it and say, what is wrong with these people? Now, before I start, I've got to tell you I couldn't believe the words that I was reading. It's just beyond parody. They've got to a point where you think you're actually reading a script from some dystopian film because it can't possibly be real. But it is. It's unbelievable. Anyway, we'll go through this and it's just... it's just sheer madness. Anyway, maternity madness. This is the headline. Maternity madness. Midwives are urged to avoid using proper words for anatomy so trans patients won't be upset. The 0.001% won't be upset. Meanwhile, the virtually 100% of all other people in those wards are being cancelled and treated like children. Don't use old-fashioned terms to avoid upsetting trans patients, nurses advised. Old-fashioned is their terminology for the proper words. Old-fashioned words like mother, right? Health chiefs in Sussex told midwives to say human milk instead of breast milk. I'm going to tell you now, although you already know, all milk is breast milk. Whatever the animal is, it doesn't matter if it's a human, a chimpanzee, a pig, a dog, a cat, an aardvark. If it produces milk, it produces it from its mammary gland, which is located in the breast. That's the definition of milk. And all this oat milk and almond milk isn't milk because almonds don't have nipples. It's breast milk. Vagina. Now, you ain't going to believe this one. Vagina is now banned. They've banned the vagina. And in favour of front hole or genital opening. Front hole is what you call it when you're 5. Oh, mummy, I've got a pain in my front hole. Can you believe these people? How's your front hole? Yeah, your front hole is opened up. I can see the baby's head through your front hole. Oh, my God. The actual term for that front hole is vagina. Deal with it. Last night, a midwife said a number of staff are unhappy but fear speaking out. That's because the tiny but very loud trans lobby say the moment you criticise anything like that, oh, you're transphobic, you're an ist and a phobe and an ist and a phobe. And they fear and they'll lose their jobs because of this tiny minority of weird, mentally ill people. I would refuse. Now, it's up to you, ladies. I mean, obviously, I'm never, ever going to be in that position because I'm a man. I would refuse to acknowledge terms like human milk or front hole. And I would insist that they call it breast milk and vagina. And the moment they treat you like a 5-year-old, you get angry and you tell them that you will not be patronised, you will not be spoken to like a child, and you insist that they use the correct terminology, or that you'll report them because you're feeling abused and cancelled. And also, we need to stand up for the staff here, because it's not the staff that are bringing this in, it's the bosses and their craven, cowardly, jellyfish, non-spinal lack of balls, because they can't say, actually, no, everyone in a maternity unit is a woman. Because if you're not a woman, you've got no business being in a maternity unit. Anyway, we'll get into this story. Midwives have been discouraged from saying vagina when dealing with pregnant transgender patients. Women, if they dislike the terminology. Hey, here's the thing. If you don't like the words, tough shit, because they're the words. I don't like the words man applied to a woman, regardless of how she dresses. I don't like the term woman applied to a man, regardless of how he dresses. If you're in that unit, you're a woman. The guidance has been introduced by health chiefs in Sussex as part of their policy on perinatal care, previously known as maternity services. Yeah, and will continue to be known as maternity, for transgender and non-binary people, or the mentally ill, as they are more correctly called. Because if you're going to change terms, and let's not use terms that upset people, like transgender and non-binary, because I find them upsetting. So can we use other terms, like mentally ill? And that way, everyone knows who we're dealing with. Last month, it emerged that the same trust had begun a policy in which staff were told the phrase breast milk could be replaced with human milk, or breast/chest milk, or milk from the feeding mother or parent. It's breast milk and it's a feeding mother. End of story. Chest milk. Tits. Haha, no pun intended. But they are, aren't they? They're a bunch of tits. Actually, they're worse than that. They're dangerous. Because they're obliterating and cancelling women. And it is appalling that they're being allowed to get away with this. We need to fight this. In the care guide from Brighton and Sussex University Hospitals Trust, midwives and obstetricians are told some individuals may have preferred terminology for their anatomy. Yes, children, my bum, up my bum, in me front hole, 'cause I'm 5. Yeah, don't give a shit what your preferred terminology is. The actual medically correct terminology is the only terminology that should be used. If you don't like it, tough shit. If you don't want it, don't get pregnant, woman. These should be used wherever possible. For example, some people may talk about front hole or genital opening rather than vagina. Yes, because they're mentally ill. And they want to be treated as 5-year-olds. Staff are encouraged to record these requested terms in a document called My Preferred Preferences. No, rip that document up, throw it away, and say to the bosses, no, I'm using the correct medical terms, and if you don't like it, tough. Because here's the thing, ultimately, the midwives have the power. There is a massive shortage of midwives and maternity care trained nurses in the NHS. Massive problem. And here's what you do, ladies. If you're a midwife, you say, no, I will stick to my original terms, the actual medical terms. If you don't like it, you have the option of firing me. But if you do, you are aware that I will not be replaced very easily, and therefore this maternity unit may have to shut down. And that's all it takes. Because remember, you're dealing with cowards. They have no spine. And the moment you stand up and you say you're being abused, get your union involved. Yeah? Get Unison on this case and say, no, I refuse to do this because my views need to be taken into consideration. You're talking about other people's rights. I have rights. And my rights is I use the correct medical terminology. That's how I was trained. That's what I want. That's what I believe in. I don't believe in patronising the mentally ill. And let's see them. They will fold. They will fold faster than Superman on laundry day. Anyway, going back to the piece. It has a list of anatomical parts, such as cervix, uterus and breasts, alongside a column where the preferred words can be written. Yeah, the words being cervix, uterus and breast. Because they're the actual medical terms for those parts of the body that only women have. And if you have them, you are a woman. In the same way as I have a prostate. And it doesn't matter what I do. I can put my pretty frock on, call myself Sally, still got a prostate, because I'm a man. The guidelines add that maternity care has typically been designed as a woman-only service, which may not serve the needs of trans and non-binary individuals who identify as neither male nor female. It is a woman-only service because only women get pregnant. And you call yourself non-binary or trans. Oh, I'm a trans man. No, love, you've got a fanny, right? You're a woman. You're a woman with a mental condition. And I'm non-binary. No, you're a woman with a mental condition. You have got a vagina and you got yourself pregnant with somebody else's penis. That other person is a man, regardless of what he calls himself. And you can self-identify as anything you like. But biologically, you're a woman. Pregnant transgender patients should be locked up in a mental asylum. Should be treated according to their self-identified gender. No, they should be treated as women because they're women. This is Jesus Christ. They should be offered pronoun stickers to wear, advising staff how to address them. They address them as the mother. The staff need to stop playing this game. Women, just say if the management want to cancel women, then all the women of the hospital will walk out and they can employ as many trans nurses as they like if they insist on this policy. And watch them fold, honestly. Last night, a midwife at the trust revealed that a number of maternity staff are unhappy but fear speaking out. The midwife, who asked to be anonymous so she doesn't get fired by these weak wankers. It's a policy that relates to very few people, and they think in some ways it's ridiculous. But because of the climate at the hospital, they dare not say anything. No, because they're made to feel fear for speaking the truth. And when you're scared into not speaking the truth, that's fascism. Kat Barber, founder of the campaign group Sex Not Gender, Nurses and Midwives, warned there can be a risk in using words that are not anatomically correct because these are ambiguous. That's exactly true. She said other larger groups may have greater needs, especially black women who it is well established have very poor outcomes in labour. Emma Chambers, director of midwifery at the trust, said the guidance was optional and offered additional language that can be used only if the client requests the alternative language. What the hell is the client? They're not paying. They're not clients. They're mothers. They're patients. It did not exclude the language of women or motherhood. Yes, it does. It tells you not to use these terms. It's saying use the preferred terms. Front hole, for Christ's sake. I'll tell you what the problem is. That hospital is being run by a right bunch of front holes. Women, you cannot keep letting this happen, and only you can stop it. I support you. I will push, I will spread the word, I will spread the agenda. But we've got to deal with this, and it's only women that can. Women have got to say no, stop cancelling us. Women, especially the midwives and the maternity staff, just look at this and say, no, we're rejecting this. We're using the anatomically correct terms, and if you don't like it, fire us. And trust me, they won't fire you because there is a massive shortage. Here is a piece from the Royal College of Midwives. Royal College of Midwives warns of midwife exodus as maternity staffing crisis grows. Now this piece was... Does it actually have a date? I'm pretty sure this was the end of 2021. So 5-6, they say full 5 months ago, 6 months ago at the most. Midwives are being driven out of the NHS by understaffing and fears they can't deliver safe care to women in the current system. Well, yeah. And this, what they're now doing is going to make the problem worse. The college is warning of a midwife exodus as it publishes the results of its annual member experiences of work survey. Over half the midwives surveyed said they were considering leaving their job as a midwife, with 57% saying they would leave the NHS in the next year. Of those midwives who have either left or were considered leaving, more than 8 out of 10 were concerned about staffing levels, and 2/3 were not satisfied with the quality of care they're currently able to deliver. So, maternity people, you know, midwives, the auxiliary nursing, or anyone who works in a maternity unit and has any kind of maternity experience and training, you've got these guys by the underdangles. Got them by the ghoulies. Can't use the word testicles, obviously, because testicles is male. You know, you've got them by the danglies, though, haven't you? Because all you have to do is threaten to leave, because there are no midwives. Alarmingly, the highest level of dissatisfaction amongst those surveyed came from midwives who had only worked for 5 years or less in the NHS. This will have a significantly detrimental impact on workforce planning and, says the RCM, the ability of maternity services across the country to provide acceptable levels of safe, quality care. So May and June 2021, they lost 300 midwives in total just in those 2 months. Midwives have got absolutely the ace in the hole on this one. Haha, no pun intended. Ace in the front hole, yeah. But you've got to stand up to these front holes above you and just reject it, say no, and say every patient you have is a woman, and refuse to use childish, embarrassing, patronising terms. Anyway, this is enough to get me angry. I'm going to come up, finish off, and we'll move on. So why do these people think treating women like this is acceptable? Why do they think patronising women, treating them like 5-year-olds because of a tiny minority who might or might not get upset? And yet that tiny minority who claim to be trans men are still quite happy to go and get pregnant, even though men don't do that. Well, it just goes to show that these women who think they're men aren't really thinking they're men. And so therefore the very fact that they're in a maternity unit shows that the condition is a mental condition, not a physical condition. And they need more than just a little change of a few words. They need deep psychiatric long-term care. But the fact that the bosses of these hospitals are bringing these rules in just goes to show how out of touch they are with the staff under them. They sit in ivory towers. They think they're, oh look, we're virtue signalling, we're being inclusive and that. No, you're actually not being inclusive. You're being misogynistic. You're being exclusionary. You're alienating patients. You're alienating your staff. And you really can't afford to alienate your midwives because you haven't got any. Women, if we stand up to this crap and face it down and question it and question it and question it and push back continually, we can get the moral high ground and we'll win this. If you like what you're seeing here on the channel, please hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Ring the bell for notifications of future output. Leave a like, leave a comment, and until next time, stay safe, stay well, and goodbye.